What if the reason your life hasn't changed isn't lack of motivation, information, or time, but something much quieter? Hold that thought. Hey there, and welcome to Embody the Phoenix Within, presented by AHA Wellness. I'm your host, Carla Rosado. This is a space for real conversations about life, healing, growth, and what it actually looks like to become the version of yourself that you know you're capable of being. If you're listening while driving, working, or just taking a moment for yourself, I'm glad you're here. Today we're talking about fear. Not the loud kind, not the kind that makes your heart race. I'm talking about the quiet kind. The kind that sounds completely reasonable. The kind that makes so much sense that most people never even recognize it as fear. Let's get into it. Fear doesn't always look like fear. Most people think fear shows up as panic, as anxiety, as something dramatic you can point to and name. But most of the time, fear sounds like logic. I just need more time. I'm not ready yet. Let me get everything in order first. This isn't the right time. Sound familiar? And listen, those things sound responsible. They sound smart. They sound like self-awareness. But sometimes they're just fear in a nicer outfit. Because here's the thing about fear. It's really clever. It doesn't always show up wearing a mask. Sometimes it shows up as hesitation, as overthinking, as I'll do it later, as waiting for the perfect time that never quite arrives. And before you know it, weeks turn into months, months turn into years, and you're still in the same place, wondering why nothing has changed. I want to tell you something I don't always talk about. There was a chapter in my life where I genuinely knew that I needed to make a change. I could feel it. I could see it clearly, but I didn't move. Not for a long time. And if you'd asked me back then why, I would have given you a very reasonable answer. Like, the timing isn't right. I need to be more prepared. I can't afford to get things wrong. All of it sounded logical. None of it was the truth. The truth was, I was afraid. Afraid of what it would mean if I tried and failed. Afraid of what people would think. Afraid of losing the version of my life I knew, even though that version wasn't making me happy. And what I've come to understand on the other side of that is that fear doesn't always feel like fear. Sometimes it just feels like caution, like wisdom, like being responsible. But there's a difference between wisdom and avoidance. And fear knows exactly how to blur that line. So, what is fear actually doing? Here's what I want you to understand about fear. Its job is to protect you. It wants you to avoid rejection, avoid failure, avoid embarrassment, avoid discomfort. And in certain situations, real danger situations, that's exactly what it should do. But most of us aren't in danger. We're just uncomfortable. And fear doesn't always know the difference. So it keeps you safe from rejection by keeping you from ever putting yourself out there. It keeps you safe from failure by making sure you never try it. It keeps you safe from the unknown by making sure everything stays exactly the same. Safe, but stuck. And here's the part that gets me. The life you actually want, it's almost always on the other side of something that feels uncomfortable. That's just how growth works. There's no version of becoming more of yourself that doesn't require some discomfort along the way. Fear knows that, and so it keeps you right where you are. So you ask, what fear is really protecting you from? What is it really protecting you from? Let's take this a little deeper. Most fear isn't actually about the situation in front of you. It's about how you think you're going to feel. It's about the thought of being judged, or of being rejected, or of people thinking you're too much or not enough, of disappointing someone, of losing something familiar, even if that familiar thing isn't serving you anymore. So instead of risking that feeling, you stay where you are, even if where you are is painful, even if it's quietly draining you, because at least it's predictable. At least it's known. And for a lot of people, familiar discomfort feels safer than unfamiliar growth. Think about that for a second. We will tolerate a lot of quiet suffering just to avoid the uncertainty of something new. Where does now let's chit chat a little about where fear shows up in everyday life. Let's talk about the real. I want to make this real for y'all, because fear isn't just the big dramatic moments. Fear is staying in a relationship you've outgrown because leaving feels too uncertain. Fear is not speaking up when something bothers you because you don't want conflict. You don't want to seem difficult. You don't want to rock the boat. Fear is that business idea, that creative project, that conversation you've been circling for months that somehow never quite happens. Fear is staying quiet in a room when you have something real to say. Fear is doubting yourself before you even begin. That's not laziness. That's not lack of intelligence. That's not being ready. That's fear. Doing exactly what it was designed to do. Keep you safe. But guess what? You don't have to get rid of fear. You can move through it. So here's the part people don't always want to hear. Fear doesn't go away. I'm going to say that again. Fear does not go away. You don't arrive at some point in your life where you wake up one morning and feel completely fearless. That's not how this works. Even the people you look at and think, wow, they've got it all together. They feel fear. They feel doubt. They feel uncertainty. The difference is they don't let fear make the final decision. They feel it, they acknowledge it, and then they move anyway. Not perfectly, not boldly every single time, but consistently enough to change their life. Because confidence isn't the absence of fear. Confidence is built through action. It's built through the small moments where you feel afraid and you do it anyway, where you feel unsure and you speak anyway, where you feel uncertain and you take one step forward anyway. That's how it's built, not by thinking, but by doing. And I'm not talking about some massive life-altering leap. I'm not telling you to go quit your job tomorrow and move across the country or blow up your life. I'm talking about small moments of courage, small decisions, small actions that over time add up to something significant. Like saying what you actually feel in a conversation instead of what's easy. Like making one decision without overthinking it into the ground. I'm famous for that one. Like taking one step toward that thing you've been avoiding, not the whole staircase, just one step. Like trying something even if you're not fully ready. Because here's what I know. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to feel ready. You just have to be willing to start. So let me ask you something. And I want you to sit with this for a second. What is the thing you've been putting off? The thing that keeps coming back. The idea, the conversation, the decision, the change that keeps knocking, that you keep moving to the back of the line. Is it really not the right time? Or are you scared? And if the answer is scared, that's okay. That doesn't make you weak. That makes you human. Fear is a part of this. It's always been a part of this. It's part of the human experience. But here's what I need you to hear. Fear doesn't get to make your decisions. You do. So if you're not living the life you want right now, it's probably not because you're incapable. It's probably not because you don't know what to do. It's probably it's because something in you is afraid. And that's human. That's human. That's human. That's human. It's normal. That doesn't mean stop though. But it does mean pay attention. Because the life you want, it's not on the other side of perfection. It's not waiting for you to have everything figured out. It's on the other side of courage. Small, imperfect, consistent courage. You don't need to change everything today. Just start here. One honest moment, one real decision, one small step forward. That's it. That's where it starts. I hope something in today's conversation gave you a little more clarity about yourself, about where you are, about what's possible. Like always, take what fits, leave what doesn't, come back to it when you need it. This is Embody the Phoenix Within, presented by AHA Wellness. I'm your host, Carla Rosado. Until next time, take good care of yourself.